To all my fellow Americans out there and the citizens of the world globally, this impacts every single person out there. This is a terrifying future that we're facing straight into. 1984 by George Orwell. If you've never read it, check it out because that's where we're heading. The President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump, was banned permanently from Twitter. This means that a single man, Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, is able to have more power than the most powerful man on the entire planet. Even if it's for a brief moment, Jack Dorsey has the power to influence potentially future elections. Donald J. Trump didn't have a few million followers on Twitter. He was one of the most followed accounts on the entire platform. He was the 6th most followed, approaching 90 million followers. He's not too far behind the previous president, Barack Obama, with his account, 128 million followers. He is the most followed person on Twitter. Of course, it's been a few years since President Barack Obama has been in the White House. I do believe in a few years, President Donald J. Trump would probably have the most followed account on Twitter. He had millions of followers on Instagram, on Twitter, on YouTube, everywhere. This goes against everything America stands for. This goes against free speech. This is censorship. And this is why it's so terrifying, especially when half of the country is cheering and they're like, yes, you deserved it, haha. Wait, what? What did he deserve it for? Let me read to you what Twitter has listed as the reasons for banning Donald J. Trump.
These are the official reasons Twitter have banned Trump. President Trump's statement that he will not be attending the inauguration is being received by a number of his supporters as further confirmation that the election was not legitimate and is seen as him disavowing his previous claim made via tweets 1 and 2 by his deputy chief of staff, Dan Scavino, that there would be an orderly transition on January 20th. Just because Donald J. Trump will not be attending the inauguration does not mean there won't be an orderly transition. It's more of a tradition to attend the inauguration. The second tweet may also serve as encouragement to those potentially considering violent acts that the inauguration would be a safe target as he will not be attending. The use of the words American patriots. This is the craziest reason. The use of the words American patriots to describe some of his supporters is also being interpreted as support for those committing violent acts at the U.S. Capitol. American patriot. When is that? When has that ever been seen as a negative? That's what America is all about. It's patriotism. We showed the biggest middle finger to the British Navy more than 2 centuries ago. Ever since then, we've been high energy. The mention of his supporters as having a giant voice long into the future and that they will not be disrespected or treated unfairly in any way, shape, or form is being interpreted as further indication that President Trump does not plan to facilitate an orderly transition, and instead he plans to continue to support, empower, and shield those who believe he won the election. A giant voice long into the future. How is that bad? They will not be disrespected or treated unfairly in any way, shape, or form. Plans for future armed protests have already begun proliferating on and off Twitter, including a proposed secondary attack on the U.S. Capitol and state capitol buildings on January 17, 2021. Provide proof for that. There's been a lot of fear-mongering by the New York Times, by Twitter, by Facebook, by the media.
Also, he's facing being deplatformed by all of the major social media outlets. This has happened to multiple celebrities so far, usually on the right side, but it doesn't matter. Here's why. Politics aside, whether you're right-leaning or left-leaning, in the future, what you're thinking today and is correct may be considered wrong. And if the CEO of a social media outlet that you're using currently disagrees with you, you might get banned. Now, if you're an individual, that might not matter as much to you. You might be disappointed. You might be frustrated. You're going to reach out to support. They're just going to tell you some BS reason. Oh, you broke the terms of service, la la la. But if you're a business manager and you've spent millions of dollars through their ad platforms, this is very concerning. And this has already happened to many, many people. You can look up Facebook banning pages, Facebook banning business pages. The most recent example, an individual posted, it's been months since he's received any message from Facebook, from Mark Zuckerberg, why his business pages with over 25 million followers were suddenly banned. His main page had over 13 million followers. He had spent over $57 million through Facebook's ad platform since 2007. He had Facebook employees come to his company's office. They had parties together. They had a great relationship for many years, and then suddenly, whoa, you got banned. Now people are going to say, oh, just don't break the terms of service. This is coming from an individual who's been banned from YouTube before. If you remember my old channel, that was banned twice. And because of that channel getting banned, Kubera was banned. And then we got unbanned because YouTube admitted, oh, they made a mistake. The algorithm made a mistake. The AI, sorry. There's been celebrities who have been banned and unbanned. There's been organizations with millions of followers, billions of dollars unbanned. My channel had over 86,000 subscribers. I was at a better position than many other smaller influencers. If you're under 25,000 followers, you don't have the same media access to YouTube. You can't live chat with them. You send out emails and you're not going to get a good response. Small influencers, small businesses, individuals who just have a different perspective, the minorities of the world will be silenced, and even silent majorities in the future. If suddenly people start posting something that is controversial or even close to controversial, just look at the past few years. There's been more bans, there's been more censorship, there's been cancel culture. This is completely wrong. There's been witch hunts that have been false. People's lives have been ruined. Companies have gone bankrupt. And ultimately, some people, when you've had every single thing taken away from you without reason, without just reason, in a country where free speech is one of the most important aspects, some people have taken their lives. Right now, we live in a free country, but you just have to look beyond our borders. And there's countries where freedom of speech does not exist. There's countries where you have to use Tor and go onto the darknet, into chat rooms to be able to organize protests against your government. There are dictators out there that have people sent off to labor camps and millions of people are enslaved or they're dying. Around the world, there are really bad organizations. Without a means to communicate properly, we are screwed. And you're going to say, oh, well, we have WhatsApp, we have Skype, we have all of these communication platforms that are different than social media. You're wrong. WhatsApp is owned by Facebook, and WhatsApp's privacy settings, look into their latest update. It is going to terrify you completely. Elon Musk even said there's better platforms out there. Donald J. Trump's Gab account has grown to 600,000 followers. It's a new account. There was the free speech version of Twitter, Parler, where guess what happened to that? Any social media outlet that is trying to portray a different message won't get promoted by the current social media monopolies, these empires. Google has just taken down Parler, a free speech app. Apple will take it down most likely as well. Gab has already been removed by Apple. Gab has already been removed by Google Play. There exists a desktop client and it's growing in popularity, but Google, Apple, Facebook, Twitter, all of these platforms are trying to stay in power, and they will do everything they can to secure their own position and to silence other people's opinions and control politics. Social media experts around the world agree that the banning of his social media accounts, since there's so many followers, over 100 million people, Donald J. Trump won't have the same reach. His 2024 re-election bid will be affected by this. It's terrifying that Jack Dorsey and Mark Zuckerberg, just these two people alone, have the power to swing elections. They also have billions of dollars, which they're probably donating to the other side, but whatever, that's politics. That's okay, you can do that. If you don't like somebody's opinion, you're able to go protest out in the street, you're able to donate money to their campaigns, their super PACs, you're able to spend billions of dollars on lobbying if you really, really want to. Heck, if you're a multi-billionaire, you can even run for the election yourself, such as President Donald J. Trump or Michael Bloomberg this year. But for one man, a CEO, to decide we're going to ban this account, we're going to ban these types of tweets, this is my platform, I get to do whatever I want. Some people will point towards their terms of service and say they're completely able to do whatever they want. But you'd be wrong, because certain things are just illegal. I don't understand why Donald Trump's account on Twitter was banned permanently, while certain Black Lives Matter agitators, their accounts are still up. Everything's fine. Sure, what happened with the Capitol, well, there was some deaths, there was some destruction that was caused, there was some crime, but the same thing happened with Black Lives Matter. There was crime, there was destruction, there were deaths a few months before, except they went even harder, because in many cities around the world, suddenly you had defacing statues, graffiti over public property, over federal property, you were burning down police precincts, you were burning down buildings, you were looting stores, and I don't understand why it's not equal, why certain people weren't banned from the other side as well. So many people from the left might be cheering right now, woohoo! until their accounts get banned themselves. This might not happen this year, it might not happen next year, but eventually you might be starting a business, you might invest $50,000, your entire life savings, because you know that your business is going to be successful, everything's going great. You turn that $50,000 into $200,000 worth of sales. You're so happy, and then bam, Twitter bans you. Most of your traffic was coming in from Twitter. Suddenly you have bills to pay, you have employees, and you go bankrupt. We are living in Orwellian times, in a dystopia. This is going to get worse. People are going to say, oh, it's just the president. They don't understand. This was a huge barrier that was just broken. When the most powerful man on the planet is taken down by some random dude in Silicon Valley, what's to stop them from banning anybody they want for any reason they give?
We are currently on the Donald.win right now. As you can see, this looks like Reddit.
Except it's not Reddit. It is very similar to Reddit, but it is because Reddit has banned one of the largest Trump communities that would have over 1 million followers had it not been banned. I think it was banned at around 850 or 900,000 followers, and it was steadfast growing. And it already was put into a quarantine where certain actions, it wasn't being promoted on the front page. So a lot of people who already were pro-Trump, they already knew about the community. But a lot of people on the front page who may have not been interested in politics whatsoever at all, and they didn't care about the left or the right side, maybe they would have ventured into this community had it not been quarantined, because other communities were being shown from the left side. And eventually this fell down alongside other Reddit communities, which Reddit is a completely different story. I loved Reddit. I used to love Reddit because it was a great forum type style. It was one of the largest websites on the planet, and it still is, but there's a lot of censorship. There's been so many communities, thousands of subreddits that have been deleted. Sure, some have been posting illegal content. Sure, some were pretty bad communities that were very clearly breaking the terms of service. But when you take into account that thousands of subreddits were banned, if there's 5 or 10 or even 100 bad apples, that does not mean every single one of those subreddits has a just reason for being banned. It's just all put under the same umbrella, and they're like, oh, see you, goodbye, because banning is the easier option for them. Also, the Reddit CEO, Alexis Ohanian, he gave up his chairman position for Reddit during the Black Lives Matter protests in favor of a black chairman candidate. They didn't even have one yet, but that was just part of his new plan. A lot of companies suddenly wanted to stay woke, but really many companies are just afraid of a witch hunt, because this cancel culture has been going on for quite a while now. A lot of people are comparing this to Alex Jones being deplatformed by every single place he could be on, even Spotify playlist at the Apple iTunes store. He lost millions of followers, but he's still going strong right now with his website. Even Shopify removed Donald J. Trump's accessories store where you could get the MAGA hats. That's just crazy to me. Alex Jones, sure, he did some pretty crazy conspiracy theories, made a lot of people very angry, but this is the president that we're speaking of. A lot of people were thinking that he'd get banned after his presidency ended. But this happened during it, meaning right now he could be permanently deplatformed, banned from every single social media outlet except the censorship-free one. That's why I post my videos to library. That's why I'm looking at decentralized cryptocurrency social media platforms. That's why I was a big fan of Steemit. Steemit kind of fell down. Now Hive's building their community. I've been a member of Gap for a little bit. I haven't really been using it, but I've been a member and I've enjoyed reading their updates. And this is also coming from somebody who had their Twitter account banned last year for unknown reasons. So I still don't understand how this account that I haven't used for years just randomly gets banned. I log in one day and I'm like, what? So to all those cheering, yeah, all right, have fun right now. You'll see how it is when you get banned eventually. People from the left don't understand, but I'll give you a fun anecdote for the end of the video. I am conservative, but I do have some libertarian views. My other channel was very libertarian. In certain videos, the left would have loved. The environment is changing for MMJ. It's a huge business in America. I was a big proponent for decriminalization and legalization. I think that people, I know it's a controversial topic, but I think that people who have medical conditions and they've tried everything and nothing's working for them and they have epilepsy and seizures, and then they suddenly try this, MMJ, and it works, but it's illegal in their country or it's not fully legal, and they face getting fines and thrown into jail. This is crazy. More states are legalizing. Even with these past elections, we've seen certain crazy things like decriminalization for other substances. So the tide is changing for this, and conservatives and liberals, they're both coming on board right now, and yet my channel was banned and then unbanned. for posting content that was very controversial. There are legal businesses, sure, on a statewide level, it's legal, while on a federal level, it's still illegal. That will probably change within the next few years, but we just have to look at our neighbors up to the north. Canada, it's fully legal. There are multiple countries on this planet right now that is fully legal, recreational as well. There are businesses worth millions of dollars that had their accounts deplatformed. Instagram banned, Facebook banned, YouTube banned. Sometimes they got unbanned, sometimes they didn't. So tell me this, there's hundreds of controversial issues. Some are more conservative leaning, some are more liberal leaning. If you're cheering right now, you're perfectly okay with losing your free speech, with losing your account. You're gonna lose more privacy as we go into the future. Edward Snowden was warning us about this, but I guess no one's really listening. So that's today's video. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button, comments, and subscribe. I'm going to do a quick live stream right now. Check out my secondary channel. At least Bitcoin hit $42,000, so I guess that's a good thing. Cryptocurrency is going up because right now what's happening in the world is absolutely ludicrous. And I don't care that Jack Dorsey is a supporter of crypto. Jack Dorsey's CEO today, tomorrow he might not be. What happens if there's a different CEO for Twitter? What happens if he suddenly hates cryptocurrency? You do realize that could happen. And it has already happened in the cryptocurrency community. Facebook, our favorite hypocrite, they ban ICO and cryptocurrency ads from their platform, despite the fact that they were working at the very same time on Libra coin, which is their own cryptocurrency. There's hundreds of examples, and maybe I'm not able to display them perfectly. I'm not the greatest speaker, I'm not the greatest YouTuber. Sometimes how I formulate my thoughts, it doesn't sound as eloquent as it did inside my head, but I still will speak up for this because there's a lot of people who are afraid, or there's a lot of people who just don't understand. I grew up with social media. I love social media, but if anything, this has just solidified why I want to change careers from marketing. I have begun to hate social media. I want to go into software engineering, computer science, because I know that there's no future here. Every single year, this just gets worse. One of the greatest examples was Tumblr. Tumblr made one bad decision. They shunned half of their community, so the other half was just like, all right, see you, bye. Tumblr lost its valuation for a few $1 billion, and Yahoo and all of this, woohoo, which Yahoo itself fell down, to being only worth $10 million, and everybody's forgotten about Tumblr. So that's probably what's going to happen to Twitter and Facebook in the future. These platforms will get replaced one day, but before they do, there's going to be many platforms that try to replace them that will get banned. But just like Facebook replaced MySpace, I don't think Facebook's going to be king for long. There will come a time where these Silicon Valley CEOs will get censored themselves. I know, it's gonna happen. Crazy. Well, have a nice one, guys. Bye.